One standard galactic year had passed since the historic first contact between Earth and the Galactic Empire. The diplomatic talks that began on that neutral space station had evolved into a complex web of negotiations, alliances, and power plays that spanned the known universe. In the Grand Council chamber of the newly established Galactic Confederation, representatives from 100 worlds gathered. At the center of the chamber stood a circular table, around which sat the leaders of the most influential factions. Emperor Zaxlor, his once absolute power now constrained. Dr. Amelia Wong, Earth's chief diplomat. Zyra of the Andromedan Consortium. And others from across the cosmos. General Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's military attaché, watched from the sidelines, her keen eyes missing nothing. She leaned over to Captain Zora Patel, whispering, "A year ago, we were fighting for our survival. Now we're helping shape galactic policy." Incredible. Patel nodded, a wry smile on her face. And to think, the Empire once considered us primitive. At the table, Dr. Wong was speaking, her voice calm but authoritative. The Terran Alliance proposes a galaxy-wide initiative for technological exchange. We believe that sharing knowledge will benefit all species and prevent future conflicts born of disparity. Emperor Zaxlor's scales rippled with barely concealed frustration. And I suppose Earth would be at the center of this exchange. Convenient for you to consolidate your newfound power. Zyra of the Andromedan Consortium interjected, her crystalline form shimmering as she spoke. With all due respect, Emperor, Earth has shown more willingness to share their advancements than the Empire ever did in its millennia of rule. As the debate continued, news tickers around the chamber displayed updates from across the galaxy. Reports streamed in of former imperial worlds declaring independence, of trade routes being redrawn, and of ancient spacefaring races emerging from isolation to join the galactic community. In orbit above, the combined fleets of the Confederation's member worlds stood guard. Earth's ships, once a carefully hidden secret, now patrolled openly alongside vessels from a dozen alien cultures. The HSS Defiant, veteran of the first battles against the Empire, held a place of honor in the fleet formation. Back in the council chamber, a vote was called. One by one, the representatives registered their decisions. As the final tally appeared on the grand holographic display, a hush fell over the assembly. Dr. Wong stood, her face solemn. The motion passes. The Galactic Technology Exchange Program will begin immediately. Furthermore, the Confederation Navy will be established, with joint command shared among member worlds. Emperor Zaxlor rose, his tall form towering over the others. For a moment, tension filled the air as all wondered how the once supreme ruler would react. Then, to everyone's surprise, he inclined his head in a gesture of acceptance. "The Empire recognizes the will of the Confederation," he said, his voice a low rumble. "We will comply with the new galactic order." As the council session adjourned, General Chen and Captain Patel made their way to Dr. Wong. The diplomat looked exhausted but satisfied. "Well done, Amelia," Chen said warmly. "You've helped forge a peace I never thought possible." Wong shook her head, a tired smile on her face. "This is just the beginning. We have a galaxy to rebuild, cultures to understand, and who knows what other challenges await us out there in the stars." As if in answer to her words, an aide rushed up, his face pale. "Dr. General, we're receiving a transmission. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. The message, it's coming from outside our galaxy." The three women exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and apprehension in their eyes. Earth had fought its way to the galactic stage, helped reshape the political landscape of an entire galaxy, but it seemed the universe had even greater adventures in store. In the space above, as news of the mysterious transmission spread, ships from 100 worlds turned their sensors to the vast darkness beyond the galactic rim. Whatever came next, they would face it not as individual species, but as a united galactic civilization. And at the heart of this new order stood Earth, once dismissed as a primitive backwater, now a beacon of innovation and diplomacy. The humans had not just survived their trial by fire. They had emerged as leaders in a vast cosmic community. As the Defiant prepared for its next mission, Captain Patel looked out at the starfield, a sense of wonder and purpose filling her. New galaxies to explore, she mused, new challenges to face, and new friends to make, added Lieutenant Chen, standing at her side. Patel nodded, a smile spreading across her face. Helm, set a course for the unknown. The next chapter of our adventure is about to begin. The Galactic Empire stretched across countless star systems, its power unchallenged for millennia. From gleaming capital worlds to remote outposts, the Empire's reach seemed infinite. At the heart of this vast domain sat Emperor Zaxlor, a being of immense age and cunning. On this day, like any other, Zaxlor gazed out from his crystal palace on Centauri Prime. His 4 eyes blinked slowly, each set focusing on a different holographic display. Maps of conquered worlds, reports of resource extraction, and fleet movements danced before him. "Your Majesty," a voice called out. Grand Admiral Kriva entered, her scaled skin shimmering under the palace lights. "We have completed our survey of the Sol system." Zaxlor turned, his long, sinuous neck allowing him to face the Admiral while his body remained still. "Proceed," he said, his voice a low rumble. Kriva activated a hologram, showing a small blue and green planet. The third planet, designated Earth by its inhabitants, shows signs of primitive spacefaring capability. However, their technology is centuries behind our own. The Emperor's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. "Interesting. Tell me more about these Earthlings." "They are a young race, bipedal mammals," Kriva continued. "They've only recently discovered faster-than-light travel, and their ships are slow, clumsy things. Their weapons are based on crude projectiles and chemical explosives." Zaxlor chuckled, a sound like grinding stones. "How quaint. And their defenses?" "Minimal, Your Majesty. A few orbital stations, a handful of ships that barely qualify as a fleet. They would be no match for even a small Imperial task force." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Yet they've managed to achieve FTL travel. That shows some promise, does it not?" Kriva hesitated. "Perhaps, Your Majesty. But compared to the Empire, they are children playing with toys." "Children can grow up, Admiral," Zaxlor mused. He floated closer to the hologram, his anti-gravity harness humming softly. "What resources does this Earth possess?" The Admiral touched her control pad, and the hologram zoomed in. "Rich in minerals, water, and organic compounds. The planet's biosphere is remarkably diverse. And the humans themselves, well, they breed quickly and adapt well to different environments." Zaxlor's eyes gleamed with interest. "Useful traits for an expanding empire, wouldn't you agree?" Kriva nodded, her crest rising in excitement. "Indeed, Your Majesty. They could make excellent servants or cannon fodder for our more challenging conquests." The Emperor was silent for a long moment, considering. The Empire had grown complacent in recent centuries. Perhaps this new world could provide some entertainment, if nothing else. "Prepare a battle fleet, Admiral," Zaxlor finally declared. "Nothing too large. We wouldn't want to overwhelm the poor creatures entirely. Let's give them a sporting chance, shall we?" Kriva bowed low. "As you command, Your Majesty. When shall we launch the invasion?" "Oh, let's not be hasty," the Emperor said, waving a clawed hand dismissively. "Give them a standard cycle to prepare. Send the usual ultimatum. Surrender or be destroyed. It's only polite, after all." The Admiral's eyes widened in surprise. "But Your Majesty, warning them might allow them to." Zaxlor cut her off with a sharp gesture. "To do what exactly?" "Build a fleet capable of challenging us. Develop weapons that could harm our ships." He laughed, a booming sound that echoed through the palace chambers. "No, Admiral. We'll give them their warning. It will be amusing to watch them scurry about, trying to mount a defense. Kriva bowed again. Of course, Your Majesty. Your wisdom is unparalleled. As the Admiral left to carry out his orders, Emperor Zaxlor turned back to the hologram of Earth. He reached out a long, spindly finger and touched the image, causing it to ripple. "Well, little world," he murmured. "Let's see what entertainment you can provide for an old emperor. Who knows? You might even surprise us." With a chuckle, Zaxlor dismissed the hologram and settled back into his throne. Soon, very soon, the Galactic Empire would remind the cosmos why it had ruled unopposed for so long. And this insignificant planet called Earth would be just another footnote in the Empire's glorious history. Or so he thought. Captain Patel allowed herself a small smile as she looked at her crew. "Well done, everyone. Let's head home and prepare for the next mission. Something tells me we've got a long fight ahead of us." The HSS Defiant and its sister ships engaged their quantum fold drives, vanishing from Imperial space as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind a shattered Imperial fleet and the debris of what had once been their greatest shipyard. The galaxy would never be the same again. With a flash of its quantum fold drive, the Defiant leaped into the void, carrying the hopes and dreams of Earth and its new allies towards whatever mysteries awaited them in the cosmic deep. The end, or perhaps just the beginning. The remnants of the once mighty Imperial fleet limped away from Earth, their retreat covered by a handful of destroyers that had somehow survived the devastating Nexus Protocol. Admiral Kriva, her pride shattered along with her fleet, stared blankly at the tactical display aboard her damaged flagship. "Your orders, Admiral," her second-in-command asked tentatively. Kriva's scales rippled with barely contained rage. "Set course for the nearest Imperial stronghold. We must warn the Emperor." As the Imperial ships engaged their faster-than-light drives, a ripple of excitement passed through Earth's fleet. They had won their first major battle against the Galactic Empire, but the war was far from over. In the underground command center, General Sarah Chen surveyed the room, her eyes bright with determination. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've defended our home. Now it's time to take the fight to them." A murmur of anticipation swept through the assembled officers and scientists. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, his face a mix of excitement and concern. "General, are you suggesting we pursue the Imperial fleet?" Chen nodded. "Not just pursue, Doctor. We're going to strike at the heart of the Empire itself." Back in space, Captain Zora Patel received the new orders with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Her ship, the HSS Defiant, had performed admirably in the battle, but venturing into enemy territory was another matter entirely. "Attention all hands," she announced over the ship's comm system. "We're going on the offensive. Prepare for deep space operations." As Earth's fleet assembled for their first foray into Imperial space, the quantum fold drives hummed to life. Unlike the Imperial ships, which needed to accelerate to specific points to enter faster-than-light travel, Earth's vessels simply vanish, reappearing light years away in an instant. The journey that had taken the retreating Imperial ships days was covered by Earth's fleet in a matter of hours. They emerged from their quantum jump at the edge of a heavily fortified Imperial system. "My God," Patel whispered as she took in the sight before her. A massive space station orbited a red giant star, surrounded by a defensive fleet that dwarfed the one they had faced at Earth. Lieutenant Chen, her tactical officer, quickly analyzed the situation. "Captain, it appears to be a major Imperial shipyard. Our intel suggests this is where they construct their dreadnoughts." Patel's mind raced. Destroying this facility could cripple the Empire's ability to wage war, but the risk was enormous. Before she could voice her concerns, a transmission came through from the command ship. General Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Captain Patel, you're seeing what we're seeing," Chen said without preamble. "This shipyard is key to the Empire's military power. We need to take it out." Patel nodded, her resolve strengthening. "Understood, General. What's the plan?" "We're deploying a new weapon," Chen replied. "Dr. Tanaka calls it the Void Splitter. It should create a localized rupture in spacetime, powerful enough to tear that station apart. As Chen outlined the plan, the Imperial forces finally noticed the Earth fleet's presence. Alarms blared across the system as hundreds of ships moved to intercept. All ships, battle formations, Paddle ordered. Activate stealth systems and prepare for evasive maneuvers. Earth's fleet sprang into action, their advanced technology allowing them to run circles around the larger, slower Imperial vessels. The space around the shipyard turned into a chaotic mess of energy beams, missiles, and explosions. Amidst the chaos, a small group of Earth ships, led by the Defiant, pushed toward the massive space station. They weaved through the defensive fire, their shields flaring as they absorbed hits that got through. "We're in position," Paddle reported, her voice tense, preparing to deploy the Void Splitter. From the underbelly of the Defiant, a strange device emerged. It looked almost organic, its surface rippling with dark energy. As it activated, space itself seemed to warp around it. "Void Splitter deployed," Lieutenant Chen announced. "FX building." "My God, Captain, look." A point of absolute darkness appeared near the space station, rapidly expanding into a swirling vortex. The massive structure began to groan and twist, sections of it being pulled apart by forces beyond comprehension. In the Imperial Command Center, panicked voices filled the air. "What is this weapon? How do we stop it? We're losing structural integrity." But it was too late. With a final, silent flash, the shipyard was torn asunder, fragments of it disappearing into the void before the rupture collapsed in on itself. As the Imperial forces reeled from the loss, Earth's fleet regrouped. They had struck a significant blow against the Galactic Empire, but this was only the beginning. The vacuum of space lit up with flashes of energy and explosions as the battle between Earth's fleet and the Galactic Empire raged on. What had started as a sure victory for the Empire had turned into a desperate struggle for survival. Admiral Kriva, her scaled face contorted with rage and disbelief, barked orders from the bridge of her flagship. "Regroup. Form defensive formations. We are the Galactic Empire. We will not be defeated by these upstart primitives." But her words rang hollow as another Imperial cruiser erupted in a ball of plasma, torn apart by Earth's advanced weaponry. On the other side of the battle, Captain Zara Patel's ship danced through the chaos, its quantum fold drive allowing it to appear and disappear at will. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Chen, no relation to the general, responded quickly. "Shields at 82%, Captain. Weapons systems all green. We've taken out 3 enemy capital ships and 7 destroyers." Patel nodded, a grim smile on her face. "Good work, but keep your guard up. These Imperials might have some tricks up their sleeves yet." As if on cue, a massive Imperial dreadnought emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the battle. Its size dwarfed even the largest ships in the Empire's main fleet, and its hull bristled with weapons. In Earth's underground command center, General Sarah Chen frowned at the new arrival on the tactical display. "Analysis," she demanded. Dr. Tanaka, monitoring the battle from his station, replied quickly. "It's unlike anything we've seen before, General. Energy readings are off the charts. I think it might be their flagship." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Warn the fleet. All ships, concentrate fire on that dreadnought. We can't let it fully deploy." Back in space, the Imperial dreadnought began to power up its main weapon, a massive cannon that ran the length of the ship. Energy crackled along its hull, building to a crescendo. Captain Patel saw the danger immediately. "Evasive maneuvers," she shouted. Her ship blinked out of existence just as a beam of pure destruction lanced through the space it had occupied a split second before. The beam continued on, striking one of Earth's destroyers. For a moment, the destroyer's advanced shields held, a bubble of energy struggling against the onslaught. But then, with a silent flash, the shields failed, and the ship disintegrated. "No," Patel cried out, knowing that hundreds of her fellow humans had just been vaporized. In the command center, General Chen's face was a mask of determination. "Dr. Tanaka," she said, her voice low and urgent, "it's time to use the Nexus Protocol." Tanaka's eyes widened. "But General, it's never been tested in actual combat. The risks are worth it," Chen finished for him. "The lives of every human on Earth are at stake. Do it." Tanaka nodded and began inputting a complex series of commands into his console. In space, 5 of Earth's largest ships suddenly broke off from the main battle. They arranged themselves in a pentagonal formation, energy arcing between them in increasing intensity. Admiral Krivo, watching from her flagship, felt a chill run down her spine. "What are they doing now?" she muttered. The answer came moments later. The 5 Earth ships seemed to fold in on themselves, collapsing into a single point of blindingly bright energy. Then, with a flash that temporarily overloaded every sensor in the battle, the energy expanded outward in a wave. As the wave passed over Earth's ships, they seemed to shimmer, their hulls taking on a strange, ethereal quality. But when it reached the Imperial fleet, the effects were devastating. Ships caught in the wave simply came apart, their molecular bonds severed by forces beyond Imperial science. The massive dreadnought, for all its size and power, fared no better. It split down the middle, its 2 halves drifting apart as secondary explosions ripped through its interior. In the stunned silence that followed, Captain Patel's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. "All Earth ships, report status." One by one, the captains of Earth's fleet responded. Incredibly, not a single human ship had been lost to the Nexus Protocol. As the remains of the Imperial fleet began to retreat in disarray, a cheer went up in Earth's command center. But General Chen remained focused, her eyes on the tactical display. "This battle is won," she said quietly. "But the war is far from over." News of Earth's stunning victories against the Galactic Empire spread like wildfire across the cosmos. In the grand halls of the Imperial Palace on Centauri Prime, Emperor Zaxlor paced back and forth, his long, serpentine body coiling with tension. "How?" he hissed, his 4 eyes blazing with fury. "How could these humans defeat our finest fleets and destroy our greatest shipyard?" The Imperial advisors cowered before their enraged ruler. One brave soul, a wizened alien named Krex, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, perhaps it's time we considered diplomatic options." Zaxlor whirled on Krex, ready to strike him down for such a suggestion. But then he paused, an idea forming in his cunning mind. "Yes, diplomacy. We'll use it to buy time, to learn their secrets." Meanwhile, on Earth, the mood was one of cautious celebration. In the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York, representatives from every nation gathered to discuss the new reality of Earth's place in the galaxy. General Sarah Chen stood at the podium, addressing the assembly. "We've won significant victories, but the war is far from over. The Empire is vast, and we must prepare for their counterattack." As she spoke, a commotion erupted at the back of the hall. An aide rushed in, whispering urgently to the Secretary General. The Secretary General's eyes widened, and he quickly made his way to the podium. "Pardon the interruption," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "We've just received a transmission from the Galactic Empire. They're requesting a ceasefire and opening diplomatic channels." A shocked murmur rippled through the assembly. General Chen's face remained impassive, but her mind raced. Was this a genuine offer or a ploy? In space, aboard the HSS Defiant, Captain Zura Patel received the news with skepticism. It could be a trap, she mused to her senior staff. A way to get close to our ships and study our technology. Lieutenant Chen nodded in agreement. We should maintain battle readiness, just in case. Back on Earth, the debate raged. Some argued for pressing their advantage, to strike at the Empire while they were reeling. Others advocated for peace, seeing a chance to avoid further bloodshed. In the end, it was decided to accept the diplomatic overture, but with extreme caution. A neutral location was chosen for the talks, a space station orbiting a gas giant in unclaimed territory. As Earth prepared its diplomatic team, other galactic powers watched with growing interest. The Andromedan Consortium, a loose alliance of independent worlds, saw an opportunity. In their capital on the crystal world of Zohr, the consortium leaders met in emergency session. "These humans have done the impossible," declared Xyra, the consortium's chief negotiator. "They've bloodied the Empire's nose. We should align ourselves with them." Across the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place. Species that had long chafed under Imperial rule now sought a chance for freedom. Others, fearing the upset of the Galactic Order, began to quietly support the Empire. The day of the diplomatic meeting arrived. Earth's delegation, led by a seasoned diplomat named Dr. Amelia Wong, arrived at the space station aboard a heavily armed escort fleet. The Imperial delegation, headed by none other than Grand Vizier Krell, Zaxelar's most trusted advisor, arrived with equal pomp and security. As the two sides faced each other across the negotiating table, the tension was palpable. Dr. Wong spoke first, her voice calm but firm. "We come in peace, but we will not surrender our independence or our right to defend ourselves." Grand Vizier Krell's face was unreadable as he replied, "The Empire acknowledges the unexpected capabilities of Earth. We propose a treaty of non-aggression and mutual cooperation." But as Krell spoke, Imperial sensors were secretly scanning the Earth ships, trying to unravel the mysteries of their advanced technology. Little did they know, Earth scientists had anticipated this. The escort fleet was running special countermeasures, feeding false data to the Imperial scanners. As the negotiations stretched on, news of the meeting spread. On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, beings of all shapes and sizes watched and waited. The balance of power was shifting, and everyone knew that the outcome of these talks would shape the future of the galaxy for millennia to come. In the shadows, other forces stirred. Ancient races, long thought extinct, took notice of the upstart humans. And in the vast darkness between the stars, something older than the Empire itself began to awaken, disturbed by the ripples of change spreading across the cosmos. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The day of reckoning had arrived. Earth's skies darkened as the Galactic Empire's invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace. Massive warships, each the size of a small city, took position around the planet. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly metal, bristling with weapons beyond human understanding. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Admiral Kriva smiled coldly. "Primitive world," she hissed, her scaled skin shimmering under the ship's lights. "Open a channel to their leaders. Let's see them beg for mercy." But as the communication officer worked to establish contact, alarms suddenly blared across the Imperial fleet. "Admiral," a junior officer cried out, multiple unknown vessels appearing out of nowhere. Kriva's eyes widened in disbelief as she watched the tactical display. Where moments ago, there had been nothing but Earth's pitiful satellites. Now hundreds of sleek, angular ships shimmered into existence. They seemed to materialize from thin air, their hulls rippling like water as they dropped their cloaking fields. On Earth, in the secret command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Chen stood tall, her eyes fixed on the massive view screen. Around her, the command staff worked with practiced efficiency, their faces a mix of determination and barely contained excitement. "All ships reporting ready, General," Admiral Curry announced, his voice steady despite the tension. Chen nodded, her expression grim. "Commence Operation Thunderbolt. Show them what humanity can do." In space, Earth's fleet sprang into action. The ships moved with impossible speed and grace, their quantum engines allowing them to dance between the lumbering Imperial vessels. Plasma beams lanced out, guided by predictive AI targeting systems, striking with pinpoint accuracy. Admiral Kriva watched in horror as her fleet's shields flickered and failed under the assault. "Impossible," she muttered. "Their technology. It can't be." Earth's ships continued their relentless attack. Some seemed to blink out of existence, only to reappear behind Imperial vessels, unleashing devastating barrages before vanishing again. Others projected energy fields that warped space itself, causing Imperial weapons fire to curve harmlessly away. On one of Earth's lead ships, Captain Zora Patel gripped her command chair, a fierce grin on her face. "Quantum fold drive functioning perfectly," her science officer reported. "We're running circles around them, Captain." Patel nodded. "Let's show them our little surprise. Activate the gravity lance." At the front of her ship, panels slid open to reveal a weapon unlike any other. It fired not energy or projectiles, but a concentrated beam of gravitational force. The beam struck an Imperial cruiser, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a groaning of metal that was felt rather than heard, the massive ship began to crumple in on itself, crushed by an irresistible force. Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Kriva was in a state of panic. "How is this possible?" she demanded. "They were supposed to be primitives." Her tactical officer, face ashen, replied, "Admiral, we've lost a third of the fleet already. Their weapons, we have no defense against them, and our shots can't penetrate their shields." In Earth's command center, a cheer went up as they watched the Imperial fleet falter. But General Chen remained focused. "Don't get cocky," she warned. "We've surprised them, but this battle is far from over." As if to punctuate her words, one of the largest Imperial ships began to power up a massive weapon. The energy readings were off the charts, threatening devastation on a planetary scale. "All ships," Chen ordered, her voice calm but urgent, "execute Maneuver Omega. Let's show them our biggest gun." In space, Earth's fleet suddenly pulled back, forming a spherical formation around the planet. Energy began to arc between the ships, building to a crescendo. Admiral Kriva watched with growing dread. What are they doing now? She got her answer moments later, as the combined energy of Earth's entire fleet coalesced into a blinding beam that struck the Imperial superweapon. There was a moment of silent, terrible beauty as the energies clashed. And then the Imperial ship simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. As the light faded, the remaining Imperial ships hung motionless, their crews too stunned to act. Earth's fleet, by contrast, resumed their formations, ready to continue the fight. The battle for Earth had only just begun, but already the galaxy would never be the same. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a vast underground complex known only to a select few, General Sarah Chen stood before a group of the world's brightest minds. Engineers, scientists, and military strategists from every corner of the globe gathered around a holographic display of Earth's solar system. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, "the day we've been preparing for has finally come. We've received an ultimatum from the Galactic Empire." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Dr. Akira Tanaka, lead scientist of the propulsion team, spoke up. "How long do we have, General?" "One standard cycle," Chen replied. "About 18 Earth months." Relief washed over many faces. They had expected this day for decades, but the fear had always been that they wouldn't have enough time to prepare. Chen continued, "Thanks to our deep space listening posts, we've known about the Empire for years. Our secret fleet is ready, but now it's time to put all our innovations to the test." The hologram shifted, revealing a sleek, angular spacecraft unlike anything seen in public. Its hull shimmered with a strange, almost fluid-like material. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of materials science, stepped forward. "The metamaterial skin is performing beyond our expectations," she said, her eyes gleaming with pride. "It doesn't just absorb radar and lidar. It actively bends light and other electromagnetic waves around the ship. For all intents and purposes, our fleet is invisible." Chen nodded approvingly. "Excellent. Admiral Curry, what's the status of our weapon systems? A tall, dark-skinned man in a crisp uniform approached the hologram. Our plasma cannons are fully operational, General. The targeting systems, powered by our quantum AI, can predict enemy movements up to 30 seconds in advance. And our shields, he paused, a smile tugging at his lips. Well, let's just say the Empire is in for a shock. The room buzzed with excitement. Years of secret work, hidden from the public eye, were about to be put to the test. Dr. Tanaka cleared his throat. General, I think it's time we showed you the heart of our fleet. With a few taps on his tablet, the hologram changed again. This time, it displayed an intricate engine unlike anything seen before. Parts of it seemed to phase in and out of existence, defying the laws of classical physics. Behold, Tanaka said, his voice filled with awe, the quantum fold drive. It doesn't just bend space, it folds it, allowing our ships to traverse vast distances almost instantaneously. The Empire's faster-than-light travel will look like a snail's pace in comparison. General Chen's eyes widened. Incredible. Will it be ready in time? Tanaka nodded confidently. We're installing the final units as we speak. The entire fleet will be equipped before the Empire arrives. Chen turned to address the entire room. You've all done amazing work, but remember, the real test is yet to come. We're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for humanity's place in the galaxy. As the meeting concluded, Chen retreated to her private office. She sank into her chair, the weight of humanity's future pressing down on her. On her desk sat a framed photo of her family, her wife and 2 young children, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding. Chen picked up the secure phone on her desk. It was time to brief the world's leaders. In the coming months, they would need to prepare the public, but without revealing their true capabilities. The element of surprise was their greatest weapon. As she dialed, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive, defenseless world. They had no idea what was waiting for them. In labs and hangars across the globe, humanity's secret fleet was coming to life. Ships with technology beyond anything the public had dreamed of were being fueled and crewed. Weapons that bent the fabric of reality itself were brought online. Earth was ready, and the Galactic Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity.